It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelli, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time. And I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney, and join us as we uncover the cultural inspirations and hidden history behind Akira Toriyama's seminal franchise.
And we're broadcasting from within the gravity field that has been pursuing us for time immemorial. Something to add?
Well, a lot, but I doubt you'd like any of it.
Try me.
Okay. First of all, we're not exactly broadcasting. We don't know that any of our transmissions are being sent. Besides which, we're very unsure if it's being transmitted live at all, or just occasionally being pinged out from our long-range equipment on our ship.
Well, anyway...
Actually, I have more.
What now?
You also said time immemorial.
Yeah, I can't remember when this started.
It's been a matter of hours.
Well, thanks to the magic of editing, pre-recording, and odd schedules, it feels like it's been much longer than that.
But it hasn't. It was like 4 episodes of the show ago.
You're right.
Finally!
Yeah, I didn't like any of what you had to say. Listeners, the intense gravity inside this bluish-hued aura has slowed our pace to a crawl.
Surely this intense level of gravity is affecting our transmissions. Why bother addressing our listeners?
Professionalism, recruit. Anyway, listeners, I think I see a beacon, a source of some kind for this light, and potentially the planet's gravity controls up ahead.
Where are the planet's occupants if its gravity is being controlled and manipulated?
That is not a question we have the luxury of pondering whilst our ship is lost and we're stuck in this place.
Fair point.
What is a question we have the luxury of pondering is the matter of this week's topic. And this week, we are going to be talking about 6 episodes of Dragon Ball Z. It worked out a little bit nicely for us last time to do 4, and then this time to do 6. Just the topics of discussion.
They were thematically appropriate.
Yes, so this time it's going to be episodes 30 through 35.
That's right. So starting off with episode 30, titled Goku vs. Vegeta. So finally, the bout we've been waiting for since we first learned about the existence of Saiyans out in space. Earth's mightiest warrior versus the Prince of All Saiyans. Sounds like something out of a WWE match. Sadly, I won't be giving a play-by-play. Instead, I'm just going to talk about how this fight is a pivotal moment in DBZ and how you should go into it blind and just take it in. Instant replay whatever bits you want, revel in it. These next couple episodes are an absolute wild ride, and you guys should just take it in and enjoy it. It's all gas, no brakes. Is probably one of the highest peaks of this series. Just enjoy it. We get updates for every character, and it's mostly just like I said previously, these little interstitial shots where like you'll see Yajirobe like hiding in the shadows, or like, you know, they'll cut to the Kame crew and get like character reactions and things like that. And then slowly you start to see pieces fall into place with like how the narrative is going to work out from here. And that's going to bring us to episode 31, titled Saiyan Sized Secret. This is another episode where trying to describe what happens on screen is a little bit of a disservice, so I'm just going to stick to the broader points. Goku and Vegeta continue to throw down while we get reaction scenes with other characters and maybe a small update on their subplots. Big focus on Yajirobe hiding in the shadows. He seems to be having a little bit of a crisis of friendship, not sure what he should do in this situation. Ultimately, we get some great animation, probably some of the best this series has seen. And I don't mean just to this point, I mean ever. Like some of the best animation this show's ever going to have is in this arc. Eventually, however, Vegeta decides Earth isn't worth the trouble and decides that he's just going to blast it to bits and kill everybody on it. Goku disagrees. What we get is the scene in Dragon Ball, Kamehameha versus the Gallic Gun. And it's gorgeous, gorgeous animation. Please make sure you savor that one. Day saved, right? Well, actually, it looks like Vegeta's still kicking, and that beam battle took everything that Goku had. Vegeta has a quick Menti B, then decides to up the stakes by transforming into the Ozaru. But Piccolo's already blown up the moon, right? So I guess he's hosed. Well, Vegeta gets the last laugh here because it turns out the Saiyans have developed a technique for just such an occasion. Now, depending on like which version you're watching, there's a difference in the explanation for what this technique is and like who developed it. I think, was it the Ocean dub? They originally said it was like Goku's scientist grandfather came up with it or father came up with it, I think.
Yeah.
And then in like the original like subs, like this is where you actually learn about the what is it, the Brutes wave or the Blutz wave? I'm not
Brutes waves in Japanese, and I think they translate it to Blutz waves in English.
Yeah. Either way, absolutely sick transformation sequence. Very American Werewolf in London. 2 thumbs up. And that's going to bring us to episode 32, titled Spirit Bomb Away. So things are looking dire once again, with Goku suffering the rebound of his Kaioken technique, while Vegeta's taken on the form of the mighty Ozaru. Vegeta's false moon has also gotten the attention of the retreating Krillin and Gohan. They decide to head back, fearing for Goku's life. Speaking of fighting for his life, Goku has also now finally figured out that he's the one responsible for his grandfather's death, as if the physical trauma wasn't enough. Goku's still focused on winning, however, opting to try out the Genki Dama, or Spirit Bomb. The only witness to this struggle, the stealthy Yajirobe. Goku begins charging the attack, but he has some trouble staying off Vegeta's radar. The Kame crew finally get a signal on Baba's crystal ball, but it appears to only be bad news. Goku continues to take a beating, with Vegeta constantly on the offensive. Goku just doesn't have the 10 seconds that he needs to create the Genki Dama. If only there were some sort of technique that could distract him. Oh, that's right, the Taioken. With Vegeta temporarily blinded, Goku finally has the time he needs to complete the Genki Dama. Or at least that's what he thinks. However, Vegeta lands a surprise attack before Goku can fire, and he loses the energy that he's gathered. This leaves Goku low on power and in dire circumstances. He does his best, but Vegeta ultimately crushes his legs. Goku gets one last energy blast off, taking out Vegeta's eye, but it seems to be the end of the line for our hero. His life is now literally in Vegeta's hands. Which brings us to episode 33, titled Hero in the Shadows. So Goku's being crushed along with Earth's chances. Yajirobe's having a crisis of friendship, and Krillin and Gohan arrive on the scene. Gohan runs a distraction while Krillin charges up a Destructo disc. Sadly, the disc misses because Vegeta knew it was a miss. All hope seems lost until the unthinkable happens. Yajirobe saves the day. Vegeta shrinks back to a more manageable size. He sets his sights on Gohan, which means Gohan's finally going to have to stand up for himself. Vegeta headbutts a small child. After a pep talk from Dad and witnessing his subsequent torture, Gohan finally decides to fight back. He manages to keep Vegeta busy while Goku hands over what's left of the Genki Dama to Krillin. He has one shot, so he better make it count. Which leads us to episode 34, titled Krillin's Offensive. I think he's pretty non-controversial, but that's their take, I guess. Krillin is holding Earth's last hope in his hands. After a little coaching from King Kai himself, during which time Gohan is getting pounded into the dirt, Krillin takes his shot. At the same time, Yajirobe blows his cover, which gives Vegeta just enough warning to dodge. Now it's heading straight for Gohan. Luckily, due to being a good kid, the Spirit Bomb bounces off of him and back towards Vegeta. Bullseye. Vegeta lands with a sickening thud. The heroes assume he's dead, but he's still somehow survived. And alive is about all he is. However, Gohan has inexplicably regrown his tail, and Vegeta panics a bit as his false moon is still shining. Which brings us to episode 35, titled Mercy. So Gohan's new tail gives Vegeta a bit of a panic attack, but before he can actually do anything about it, Yajirobe launches another sneak attack. He pays the price with an absolutely brutal beatdown from Vegeta, like really, really brutal, which turns out to be just enough time for Goku to convince Gohan to look at the pretty light. Vegeta realizes his mistake a moment too late, and now it's his turn to feel like an abused G.I. Joe. Gohan goes on a bit of a rampage, but Goku manages to turn all that rage in the proper direction through telepathy, which is a power that he inexplicably has now. We're not going to talk about it. It seems to be going well, but Vegeta manages to succeed where Krillin first failed, using an energy disc to cut Gohan's tail mid-jump, which, how bad does that got to feel to watch the bad guy steal your plan and have it work when the bad guy uses it? The good news, no more giant Gohan. The bad news, he doesn't change back fast enough to not crush Vegeta under his weight. Vegeta decides that he's finally had enough and calls in his space pod, ready to head home, that is, unless Krillin wants to do something about it. He has the opportunity to end Vegeta's threat to the Earth, but instead, Goku argues for mercy so that he can fight him again.
Fantastic batch of episodes.
Oh, man, some of the best.
Yes. Just based on it, I mean, it's 6 episodes. So it's a fairly long fight, but at the same time, it's not so overlong.
You don't have the Frieza problem. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that it feels. Is this the best fight in Dragon Ball?
It might be. I mean, it's not overly long. The pacing's really good. You get involvement from a lot of secondary characters, so it's less, one-on-one punch, and then just the crazy places that the fight goes, like with 2 people turning into the Ozaru.
Yeah.
Not something I would have expected, considering Piccolo had already blown up the moon. But here we are.
I love the twist that Vegeta, having trained enough, gets to sort of keep his personality, his rationality, while in Ozaru form. While watching the Ozaru this time, because I had recently watched the movie Rawhead Rex, I was like, hey, those look kind of similar. I doubt it. I doubt there's any sort of inspiration going on there, because Rawhead Rex is from 1986, and it's a British film, and it's not wildly popular.
Fair.
It's a bad Clive Barker movie, frankly. But I own it now on Blu-ray.
Own physical media if you can, folks.
Yes. Because, that's what I do with my money, is purchase movies that have a collective IMDb score of under 6 on Blu-ray. Or in other words, I collect art.
Sometimes you got to save the bad along with the good. Otherwise, how are you going to know why the good is good?
But anyways, back to these episodes. They're fantastic.
Agreed.
It's such a fun watch. I didn't have a ton of notes on this, but I wanted to mention that the Gallic gun is based on, it's a pun on garlic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a gariku is garlic in Japanese, so it's a Gallic gun. Just another Saiyan vegetable pun. I don't know if there's anything more to it that I don't know if there's anything more to, like, the positioning of the hands or anything like that Toriyama might have gotten from something, or if he just kind of wanted to do like a bit of a twist, like, hey, this is the bad guy's Kamehameha.
That seems pretty likely.
And if the Kamehameha is like the turtle destruction wave, then the garlic cannon or garlic gun is the vegetable man's evil version. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's some logic there.
Same with, like, I don't have anything on Blutz waves. I don't know what Blutz or Brutes, like...
I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
And when I came across it, I was like, oh, how did I forget about this?
Yeah, it's so fun. It's funny. It's Vegeta taking a moment in the middle of a battle for his life to educate this moron.
It kind of fits his character, though, because he's like, I need to describe to you in detail how screwed you are.
Yeah, and how smart I am. Listen to how great I am.
It seems pretty in character for him at this point.
Yeah. And with that, it is finally time to start talking about Vegeta. This is probably something of a part 1, But I don't know for sure that we'll have other parts. Like, I don't know that there will be a part 2. This is a primer. It's an introduction. It's a setting of the scene, if you will. Like we did with Goku, and we've been doing with Goku. This is a character that we're just going to keep talking about over and over and over throughout our discussions of the franchise, because he becomes one of the main characters of everything. And in the very next arc, he's arguably the main character. If you want to talk about characters that have that start the action, have their call to action, change their character arc, and everything is driven through and kind of about them, Vegeta is actually kind of the main character of the entire Namek arc. He dies before its resolution. Spoilers.
Some characters, they just get that really poignant death, and that's good for them.
But then he does again take very center stage during a part of the Majin Buu saga, as I think many people know by now. Mm-hmm. And he's also just thrust to the forefront at various times during Super. He's arguably the franchise's most popular character for fans of the show. When you talk about, like, he's at various times been the number 2 ranked most popular character, and it's like behind Goku, and those polls go out to like everyone.
Yeah.
And so I would bet if you split those poll answers into like, hey, who actually is a fan of Dragon Ball, there's a chance Vegeta, at maybe not always, but at various points would have been like number 1.
I could see that.
So he's the Batman to Goku's Superman, the Wolverine to his Cyclops, the 6-eared macaque to his son Wukong, but we'll get to that one in a moment. But yeah, he's so popular, and he's such a main character that there's like, it's hard to try to talk about everything without then spoiling things that come later, and let's just kind of maybe get to those when we get to those type of thing.
Makes sense.
Although we're going to pepper some of that in here because it colors his character. So Vegeta is technically Vegeta the 4th, and he is the prince of the Saiyan race. His name follows the vegetable puns of the Saiyan race and is itself a pun on the word vegetable. So if all of your subjects are named vegetables, carrots, radishes, cabbage, you are the classification. You are the vegetable. Makes you the highest.
He is the king of the vegetables.
Yes. As the race has been pushed to the brink of extinction, despite his father's death, there's never been and never will be a coronation ceremony, and as such, Vegeta will never lay claim to the mantle of king. He's always going to be the prince of all Saiyans. His defining character feature is his pride, with his arrogance and refusal to ask for help being, frankly, the cause of a lot of problems in the future. Toriyama originally intended for Vegeta to be a one-time character whose story would come to an end with the end of the Saiyan Saga, but found the character to become quite popular and felt it was good to keep him around for a while. Toriyama created Frieza in part to have a character powerful and evil enough to kill off this popular character. The idea being, hey, maybe I won't have the heroes kill him off, I'll have an even worse villain kill him off, and since he's popular, fans will hate that villain even more. But even he walked that back with a further increase in Vegeta's popularity, and also something a quote I'm gonna mention in a moment. But he ended up walking it back. The longer Toriyama kept Vegeta around, the less he wanted him to die, even though that was kind of his original intention. Mm-hmm. During the lead up to Battle of Gods, Toriyama said, quote, "I couldn't imagine a guy with his kind of hairstyle would become popular, and yet he'd get more votes than Goku in favorite character polls," unquote. So this is another like when Toriyama created Piccolo and he said, I wanted a big mean guy to have a silly little name. Mm-hmm. I drew this goofy guy to be this silly little villain, and somehow he became popular. Toriyama also wound up finding Vegeta, quote, extremely helpful to have around, unquote, for story reasons, which harkens back to what I just said about his arrogance and pride. A character like that could be responsible for a lot of narrative issues or narrative problems within the story itself. So Toriyama liked having Vegeta there to, say, like, allow Cell to become perfect, for instance.
Sure.
In a Shueisha interview given in 1995, Toriyama said he once got a lot of fan mail asking to not unceremoniously kill off Vegeta, and so, ever the contrarian, he did just that. And I think that would be a reference to character gets really popular, he gets a whole bunch of fan mail, and says, okay, this guy's gonna blow himself up.
And blow himself up he did.
Glorious.
It was glorious, yes. Vegeta is, especially at the time of his creation, the ultimate counterpoint to Goku. He's the opposite side of the coin, a character who is everything Goku is not. He's regal, proper, technological, sophisticated, ruthless, aggressive, and high-born. Goku is raised on Earth and has in fact spent so much time here that it borders on fair to say that he was born here. He was sent here as an infant and has learned that hard work and training can help anyone overcome their birth status to become a great warrior. Vegeta, meanwhile, is raised on planet Vegeta, where they judge everyone by their birth and do not believe that rising through the ranks is possible. Saiyans basically practice eugenics. Emboldened further by Frieza, they judge people from the moment they're born and measure their potential once, and that's it. This is their culture, and it's also a measure of control. By ensuring the Saiyans stick to this ruthless measuring system, Frieza can ensure they are always accounted for and none get stronger than he wants. Keep that in mind for whenever we eventually reach Broly. That's where the character basically comes from. It's a story of what happens if or when a Saiyan is born so powerful that it makes Frieza nervous. Vegeta's cold-heartedness is in stark contrast to Goku's kind-hearted nature. He's so cold and unfeeling that when Nappa tells him planet Vegeta has been destroyed, he merely responds, "And?" As if the destruction of his entire race is of no more concern to him than the color of his clothes. Vegeta doesn't care about anyone else. He merely takes everything he encounters as a further demonstration of the truth as he understands it, of the cold and emotionless world in which he lives. Power is everything. This mentality, as we'll learn eventually, was even further driven into him by his father, who tells him at just 5 years old the particulars of his birth. He tells Vegeta that he was born a super elite and is destined for greatness. This mentality becomes Vegeta's self-identity. He believes that he's going to be great, perhaps even the legendary Super Saiyan, and the one to overthrow Frieza. And every time he wins on the battlefield, he becomes more entrenched in this belief. And he never loses at all until he arrives on Earth. Vegeta wants to defeat those who oppose him, not for noble reasons or even logical ones. He merely believes that with such fervor that he is the greatest Saiyan, and destined to be the strongest warrior in the universe, that his pride won't allow for the existence of stronger warriors.
Like Goku, Vegeta thrives on challenge and harsh situations, but while Goku thrives on these because it puts his skills to the test and allows him to improve, Vegeta thrives on them because each new challenge is an obstacle he always overcomes, thus proving what he has been born and bred to believe. He's the frigging best.
Right on.
While Goku's mind is broadened by his experiences as he encounters opponents who even at times manage to briefly defeat him, and then learns new ways of facing challenges and pushing himself past his limits, Vegeta's mind is narrow, and each experience he has narrows it further because he's always winning, so it just makes him more and more singularly focused. He's highly focused, he's singularly driven, he holds no account for opposing worldviews or ways of living. Power is all, period. That's Vegeta. Goku's written for an East Asian audience because Toriyama's an East Asian writer. He writes his main character in a way that makes his main audience see Goku as their hero, as one of their own. Goku holds to Taoist philosophy that belief is a prerequisite to sight. Goku always believes he can do a thing before he can do it. This is where Goku's whooshing. Yeah, his whooshing, his inborn quality of being calm and empty comes from. Now, Vegeta, despite his entrenched belief that he's the ultimate power, also believes in external fact, so much so that he never truly believes a thing until it's proven and done. His pride is his defining feature, but it's fragile, able to be shattered the instant his views are upset. Something challenges that, and it shatters his whole worldview. So really consider all of this. what Vegeta is and what Goku is. Goku's very existence, everything that he is in direct opposition to everything Vegeta believes. Not only in terms of what a Saiyan is, but in how Vegeta sees life itself. Goku dares to upset the established order. He is broad rather than narrow, and he is kind-hearted and believes people can change. That a person like that even exists at all is a slap in the face to Vegeta's entire life. Because even if there are people stronger than him, namely Frieza as we'll see, those people also have a similar mindset to Vegeta. They believe that power is all, an external example is everything. Goku's the opposite. So this is why, even after the immediate threat of their initial conflict is over, Vegeta holds such a grudge against Goku and wants to surpass him. It's not merely about revenge. It's not just about, he beat me, therefore I have to beat him. It's about attempting to preserve his entire worldview. Keep this idea of Vegeta trying to desperately cling to his worldview in mind over the coming months and years as we go further into the story. Vegeta does slowly overcome some of his barriers. He's moving beyond the reliance of his scouter. He starts working with others. He finds a mate. He even starts to love his family and consider the Earth his new home. But each of these things is like a slap in the face to everything he believed for the first 30 or so years of his entire life. It's only natural he'd be angry and even backslide along the way. He uses crutches to keep propping himself up because there's no way his entire reality can be wrong. He simply must be stronger, and everyone should realize it. This is why he's always calling himself the Prince of All Saiyans. He's not boasting that he's the prince of, like, one other guy at this point. He's pushing his worldview because for Vegeta, everything must be supported by an external example. If he gets beaten in a fight, it's not because of an internal issue, something wrong with himself. There's something wrong on the outside. This person doesn't understand that Vegeta is the Prince of All Saiyans. Like, what's their problem? What's wrong with them? Why don't they see the reality of the world?
Yeah, can't they just submit already?
Exactly.
So, can we connect any of this to Journey of the West? You bet we can, but first, a primer. In our research, we found a lot of parallels between Vegeta and the six-eared macaque, and we're about to lay them out. As you hear some of this, you may find a different character within Dragon Ball more fitting of comparisons to the six-eared macaque, specifically Goku Black, but consider this. Vegeta was created almost 30 years prior to Goku Black. In our last episode, we made a reference to Broly and how he has the headband, and that's always associated with Sun Wukong, that Goku doesn't have. We wouldn't suddenly say that Broly, not Goku, is the character truly based on Sun Wukong simply because there are some parallels that fit Broly better than Goku. But we would say that Broly is inspired by certain elements of Sun Wukong that Goku never had. Similarly, while Goku Black embodies some of the elements of the six-eared macaque, so does Vegeta. And as Dragon Ball has never been a one-to-one adaptation of Journey to the West, there's nothing that says both characters can't be inspired by the same source.
Suck on that.
Yeah!
Don't actually us.
So that out of the way, the six-eared macaque is one of Sun Wukong's greatest opponents in Journey to the West. In Chapter 56 of the story, Sun Wukong kills some bandits, and in a move that Tang Song Zong finds so overtly violent and irresponsible that he banishes Sun Wukong from the group of pilgrims. In Chapter 57, Wukong goes to the Bodhisattva Guanyin and asks her to release him from the pilgrimage, but she looks into his future and sees that Tang Song Zong will soon need his help. Meanwhile, the group of pilgrims are attacked by Sun Wukong, who steals all of their belongings and boasts he will finish the pilgrimage on his own and become a Buddha. The group find Wukong at Guanyin's palace and attack him, but Guanyin intervenes and says Wukong has been there the entire time. In Chapter 58, the group battles this doppelganger with Wukong and the double fighting across the world, through the palaces of Guanyin and even through the underworld, each trying to prove themselves as the true Wukong, with ultimately an audience given to them by the Buddha himself after days and days of hand-to-hand combat, with nobody being able to suss out the true Wukong via spells or insight. The Buddha identifies the doppelganger as the six-eared macaque, a being who began as the sworn brother of Wukong when they were still in the Monkey Kingdom together. 6 Years tries to flee, but Buddha traps him within an alms bowl, and ultimately Wukong manages to kill him. Some of these interpretations, by the way, are the suggestions and assertions of researchers and are not shared by all who have done research into this. Not everyone agrees that Six Ears and the Macaque King from earlier in the story are the same person. This is an issue of both translation and the novel being over 400 years old, the oral story being hundreds of years older than that. There's nobody to ask for clarification, and in a novel steeped in metaphor and allegory from a different culture from hundreds of years ago, we can only go on these translations and affirmations.
Yeah, so I'm going to go on what I see, I don't know, what I thought were more reputable sources rather than people chiming in with actuallys, personally.
Makes sense.
Still, there are interesting parallels. Six Ears is described as Wukong's exact twin, looking so much alike that they are indistinguishable, and he even feels Wukong's pain from the headband. Now, Vegeta isn't Goku's twin, but they're very similar. They're both Saiyans, they both thrive on battle, and they have warrior's pride. And Wukong and Six Ears have that two sides of the same coin thing going, and that's like Goku and Vegeta. They're two sides of the same coin. And I think that becomes more and more apparent the further we go into this story, and the more that you start to see that Vegeta is in basically a lot of ways what Goku would have been if he had been raised on planet Vegeta.
Mm-hmm.
Most interestingly, when it comes to Vegeta, is the significance of the six-eared macaque having 6 ears. There's a Buddhist idiom that says, quote, "The Dharma is not to be transmitted to the 6th ear," unquote. Meaning if you have a sensitive secret to tell someone, it should be between you and them, and a third person should not be able to overhear it. That third person would have the 6th ear in the conversation. The 6-eared macaque is said to have such supernormal hearing that he has overheard the entirety of Wukong's life. He has experienced everything Wukong has experienced, thus why he can perfectly perform all of Wukong's spells and magic. Consider how Vegeta first learns of Earth. He overhears a conversation with and about Goku via the Scouters. He has this supernormal hearing, albeit in a more technological form. Vegeta is the ultimate eavesdropper, just like 6 Ears. 6 Ears also appears in an anime Lego Monkey Kid, which was developed to support the Lego line of, I think, the same name, like the Monkey Kid Lego line, and it's largely for a Chinese audience. It's been brought to other parts of the world, and it was written by a bunch of white people, like, I forget. You can easily look up Lego Monkey Kid and see who worked on it, but it's like Aaron Jones, and like... Not written by Chinese people is what I'm getting at. But the character of the 6-eared macaque appears in this show, and he's designed super similarly to Vegeta. And even at one point wears Vegeta's bad man outfit, the pink shirt and the yellow pants. So maybe that's not the strongest bit of evidence to support the theory, but it's definitely another arrow in the quiver. Jim R. McClanahan, a researcher who focuses on Journey to the West with a degree in anthropology, who runs the blog Journey to the West Research, claims that Wukong and 6 Ears are external manifestations of the same mind, that split at some point prior to Monkey being subjected to the crucible that granted him nigh unconquerable strength. We'll delve into this more perhaps when we get to the discussion of Goku Black, as it's an interesting avenue to pursue in terms of shared lived experiences despite a different actual life, but it's interesting to think about from the perspective of Vegeta as well. If Wukong's battles with 6 Ears are two ideologies fighting, then that feels even more reason to believe that Vegeta is inspired by 6 Ears, as he is the opposite worldview from Goku. These two Saiyans are fighting each other for who is right, not who is strongest. Yes, who is strongest is a piece of that, for sure, but it's not about I'm stronger than you. It's about it's
like might makes the person's argument right, basically.
Yeah. I'm stronger than you. Yes, that's it. But like that's the point of existence. The point of existence is that I'm stronger than you. And Goku's theology is, well, the point of existence is to just be better.
Yeah.
So they're fighting to see, like, hey, like that's what they're fighting for is, hey, who's right here? The person who thinks we can all just get better, or the person who thinks no, there's like destiny involved. So that's like all of our notes for Vegeta. I've said I don't know how many times this is my favorite character in the show.
Oh, is it? We had no idea. None whatsoever.
And I think it's a lot of what we talked about is there's a relatable nature to Vegeta that once you dig a little bit beyond the surface level stuff of, oh, he's so cool and he's such a badass. There's layers. There's that top layer where you're like, oh, he's so cool. He's so tough. He's so strong. Then you dig a little bit lower and you're like, he's a jerk though. I think when you dig a little bit deeper than that is when you start to realize how much there is that's potentially relatable to this jerk. And I think it goes a lot back to he believes a certain thing. Yes, it's that he's the most powerful and that he's destined to overthrow Frieza, but he believes a certain thing. It is the core defining feature of how he defines himself and his entire world. And that gets dealt a significant blow, and then it just keeps getting chipped at over and over. He loses on Earth. He gets killed by Frieza. Someone else becomes the one to defeat Frieza. Someone else also defeats Frieza again. when
both of them get the pretty blonde hair that he can't get.
Right. They achieve his destiny before he does. Then he finally gets it, and it's not enough. And it's just this constant chipping away of everything he believes. And the way he reacts to that, then I find it very relatable. There's been a lot. I don't want to get too deep into a personal thing, but I've had that kind of experience. I'll lay it out a little bit. I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 13 years, and my wife and I got married in a Catholic ceremony. When the horrible things about the Catholic Church first came to light, I was horrified as anyone else, but I also thought that what they were doing was a reclamation, was kind of right. In the aftermath, not up to that point. But I thought, even though they were putting it all on a fall guy with Pope Benedict, I thought they were kind of doing things right. Then Pope Francis came along, and this is still an issue, and it's still a big issue, and it's still happening. And that has taken my sort of good faith in everything to being no longer. I personally, I'm not trying to say how anyone else should feel at all about this in any way. And I'm not even trying to get into a religious debate here. I'm just saying I can't support that anymore.
Understandable.
However, it's been really difficult for me, and it's not been, this is years that this has been going. I still haven't quite figured out what I fully believe anymore, because my faith in a thing that I believed from my entire life for 30 years has been blown to pieces.
Yeah.
And so I find that extremely relatable within Vegeta. There's this thing that he believed for a really long time, and it got shattered. And trying to navigate that and find out where things fit leads to you sometimes not making the best decisions with other things.
Fair.
So I find this character super, super relatable. I think that's a big piece of why I like him. The older I've gotten, though, I think I've mentioned this before. The older I've gotten also, the more I'm like, hey, you know that super relatable character? How about I don't really want to relive how miserable life is? And I just want to experience goodness. And that's where the older I've gotten, the more Goku has started to appeal to me.
Yeah, I could see that. I can definitely see the appeal of Vegeta, despite the fact that he's not my favorite character. He's still up there on that list. Is in terms of like actual character development, he probably gets the most love out of anybody in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, yes, there's absolutely a relatable quality to him. Like you get to watch him struggle with these issues firsthand. And it comes out, like you said, sometimes in unhealthy ways. But like that's just but like that's what people do sometimes.
Yeah.
Now granted, yeah, some of his decisions probably a little bit extreme in that regard. But like
a little bit,
but like the general idea of like he's struggling with something and we're watching him figure out a way to deal with it is something that I think is relatable for just about everybody, especially above a certain age.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Blown up half the crowd at a world martial arts tournament because of their internal struggles
with not feeling adequate
with self-identity. I mean, we've all been there, people.
Listen, I've done the same thing, just the concession prices at the stadium, so it seems perfectly reasonable in that light.
But yeah, there's that piece to Vegeta, and then then there's also like there's the things that people find really inspirational about him that I find. Me personally, I have like a bit of a harder time with relating to this because I don't know how to phrase it. Like, I don't feel like I take that kind of this type of inspiration from fictional characters of, well, Vegeta taught himself how to do something, I can too, but I kind of get it.
Yeah,
but. And that is where 100% I do see the appeal of Vegeta for a lot of people of this is a character who, especially the further we go in this series, everything that he accomplishes, he's doing by himself.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
He, and they even say like, even from the beginning, the Kamehameha is a move Goku learned from his master, who learned it from, I think, his master. Mm-hmm. The Gallic Gun is a move Vegeta taught himself. Being able to maintain his sanity while in Ozaru form is something Vegeta learned on his own. Going Super Saiyan is something Vegeta learned on his own without having to have that personal... Like, the reason Goku does it is because Frieza hurts his friends and family.
Yeah.
The reason Vegeta does it is because he wants to, basically.
He just wants it really bad.
Yeah. I wanna. And that's like, a lot of people gravitate towards that, the independence of that character. And I get it. I personally don't take that kind of inspiration from people. We had Derek Padula on when we first started the show, who like talked about a really personal story and was like, I thought Goku wouldn't want me to do this. Yeah. I don't personally have that experience with things, but I get it.
Sure. I mean, it's people drawing from what they find relatable to those characters and then trying to apply it in a healthy way in their own life.
Right.
So I mean, yeah,
so that's another thing.
And he is an incredibly, like you said, incredibly independent person.
Right. And there's an admirable quality to that.
For sure.
And then, then there's his pride. His pride is a piece of that. But that's another place where I feel like I relate to Vegeta, is that independence and pride of like, yeah, I have a hard time asking for help. Like, Vegeta is like the Magneto of the Dragon Ball world, where I feel like I would be that character if I were in that universe and had those level of powers. And that's not meant to be like a braggadocious thing. That's not meant to be like I'd be just as strong as them. No, like I'd have that mentality that like I have these powers that makes me better than everyone else. And and also I don't need anyone's help. And also my way is right. And also, and I think those are the wrong things to think, just to make that clear. But I recognize my own character flaws enough that that's the character I would be.
Yeah, it's admitting that power corrupts.
Yes. And I am highly corruptible. I also take bribes. If anyone out there is listening, and
wasn't that last episode with the toys, right?
Yeah, I take bribes. If anyone out there wants to slush some funds my way. I don't know what you're bribing me to do, but you know, let's have a dialogue. My price for just about anything exists.
He's cheap, folks.
But yes, that's Vegeta, at least an introductory conversation to Vegeta. There's going to be a lot more really interesting things that happen, especially towards the end of the Namek arc and the middle of the Majin Buu arc, and Vegeta gets a really interesting moment in the Super manga in the Granola arc.
Okay.
Which is the second most recent arc, with the most recent being the Superhero. They redid Superhero as a manga.
Oh, right on.
Which has a little bit more Carmine in it.
Oh boy, can't wait to read that. Carmine might overtake Yamcha at this point for me.
I just want a Carmine miniseries.
I you know what? I would just take a Carmine action figure at this point. I just have him propped up on my desk somewhere.
But so that's all I've got about Vegeta, I think, for now.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would add at the end here is that I am actually looking forward to getting back to talking about Vegeta again in the future, in those instances you were talking about. Because, like I said, he's probably got the best character development in this entire series, and it's a lot of fun to talk about. So I'm looking forward to it.
For sure, all throughout Z. He stagnates a little in Super, but A, it's a little bit better in the manga, and B, it gets better after the Tournament of Power.
Mm-hmm.
Which none of that's been animated yet, so a lot of fans are less familiar, because way fewer people read the manga than watch the anime.
That's typically how it goes, yeah.
Yeah, Vegeta does stagnate for a little bit because it's a tough thing. I don't know what I would have done. There's a moment at the end of the Majin Buu saga, at the end of Dragon Ball, essentially, where something big happens. Vegeta makes a major confession, albeit to himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the completion of his character arc. And to then have to pick that up and keep going with it, it's understandable why, for a while, Toriyama didn't know what to do with this character.
I could see that.
So, we'll be talking about that more and more over the coming years.
That's right. We're going to be doing this till we're 90.
Yeah. And then I don't know, then we'll wish on the Dragon Balls for eternal youth and keep doing it.
There you go.
That's your curse.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Have you noticed that light getting brighter and brighter the closer we get?
A child would notice that.
Well, my question stands.
That's about enough out of you for today.
You know, you get to pick on me constantly, but I throw it back a little bit and you act offended.
What? No, that's not what's happening here. I'm saying that's about enough for today. Podcast over.
Huh. You know, I kind of thought we'd have a little bit more excitement.
If trudging along at many times normal gravity isn't exciting enough for you, I could generate some ki blasts that you'd have to dodge as well.
No. I wasn't complaining. I just sort of assumed.
Will Bekinney ever stop assuming? Will we have a more action-packed episode soon? Find out next time and help us achieve our final forum.
Final Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kit. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share it with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.